When we go out and we harvest the saguaro fruit, it's a team effort. So you have one person that's actually picking the saguaro fruit. You have another person that's collecting it in the bucket. You also have another person that's the spotter that's going ahead and figuring out the next saguaro to pick from. Yep. Just trying to catch it for you. All right! Awesome job! That's how we are resilient, is being with each other and being together in cooperation is how we make it through the world. That's how we are successful. Skugdash Anyap Jugi Jacelle Ramon-Sauberan Chuk Wak Amachit. Good day, my name is Jacelle Ramon-Sauberan and I come from the San Xavier District on the Tohono O'odham Nation. Everything was really centered around the Santa Cruz River for us in San Xavier. Women would go down with their pottery and fill up at the river. Children would go and play in the river, wash clothes down at the river. Growing up, my grandma always told me stories, and some of those stories involved here, where she grew up. And for water, they'd go down to the Santa Cruz River and collect water and come back up. And my grandma used to talk about playing in the Santa Cruz River, but also too just how lush and green the Santa Cruz was. Prior to 1900s, there was a steady flow of water in the Santa Cruz. It was something that was used on a daily basis, something in terms of a resource. With us being taught and told by our Creator to always be in tune and pay attention to the environment, pay attention to the landscape, your surroundings, we began to notice that the flow of the Santa Cruz River started to change, and meaning that it decreased. And that was because you had the city of Tucson growing. You had non-O'odham farmers, living close proximity. And even also you see that with the Sarco mine. Same thing, they started to pump and take to the point where there was no longer an Ari Acamel, which is what we called the Santa Cruz River. Our livelihood as O'odham was taken away from us. We were farmers. And we, for time immemorial, were able to maintain the water source in the Santa Cruz River, and then it was just gone. The elders in San Xavier didn't want this to continue on like this. We came together as a community and decided, okay, we need to have a plan here. We need to figure something out. And so from that plan, thus the creation of the co-op farm. And of course, if you are gonna have a farm, you need water. So the second thing with that was to hold those accountable that depleted the water. And so there was a lawsuit filed, and it held City of Tucson, different agricultural businesses, and so on that used the water and depleted it and wanted to hold them accountable. And that lawsuit took quite some time to come to a resolution. And so from that came the Southern Arizona Water Rights Settlement Act, also known as SWRSA. But it took 19 years from 1982 into the 2000s before we actually saw the water, because then you had to build the pipeline. You had to find a way for, a route to be able to build all of that to then come to San Xavier. This wasn't something that happened overnight, but you had individuals that were dedicated to making sure our traditional ecological knowledge continued, making sure that farming was brought back again. I'm very proud of the co-op farm because of what my community did, how they came together, restored the land, cared for it, brought it back to life to what you see here today. It's a blessing to see water flowing again in the Santa Cruz. It means a lot to us as O'odham because we can now talk about water in a present tense versus before it was always talked about, in the past. So Himatug translates to our way of life. But if you break the word down and you have the first part, him, translates to your behavior, how you act, how you present yourself, how you treat other people. And then dag, D-A-G, derives from ibatag, which means your heart. So your spirit, your love, your energy. And so you put all that together and you're looking at how you fit into that world, how you fit into your community, your family. The decisions you're going to make are going to affect your family, your community. And then also thinking bigger picture, cooperation, relationality, the connectedness, the community, that all comes together, and that's how we have survived.
Hi, I'm Tom McNamara, host of Arizona Illustrated. Thanks so much for watching this story from our show. And for more local stories from Arizona Illustrated, just click right here.